Hi, I'm Lisa Bedford, the Survival Mom. Have you heard about the tiny house movement? There's actually a show about tiny houses. And the focus of these shows and this whole tiny house movement is on little itty bitty houses. And they range maybe from 150 square feet up to maybe 300 or 400. I am not sure what the tipping point is where a house is no longer considered an official tiny house, but generally they're quite small. 200 or 300 square feet is what I have seen for the most part. When I first saw tiny houses, they were always accompanied by hipster type looking guys and very young people, maybe in their 20s. And, maybe they have man buns and man bags or purses. And I thought, oh, that's just not for me. Here I am, I'm a suburban mom. I have a couple teenagers, and the tiny house thing would drive me nuts. Well, I've been thinking about the tiny houses and how preppers might actually find them to be a useful component of all of your plans for preparedness. Because let's face it, when it comes to having to leave the comfort of your home, the comfort and safety of your home for any number of reasons, and go to what is commonly referred to as a bug out location, most of us, the majority, we don't have a bug out location. Maybe it's a tent. Maybe a lot of people are planning on just squatting on public lands somewhere. Or maybe they're going to see if they can stay at their mother-in-law's house for the duration or as long as they both can stand it. Not really good options for bug out locations, let's face it. However, a tiny house might be the solution to this dilemma for some preppers, and here's why. First of all, the blueprints and the building supplies and materials that you would need to build a tiny house are very affordable. I have found blueprints online ranging from free to maybe $700 or $800. And for most people, if you're really determined, that is an affordable amount of money. In addition, a number of these tiny house websites offer different floor plans. And so you can take a look at the floor plans, decide which one is best for you, and then download and purchase the corresponding blueprints and then go on from there. The building materials and supplies are not going to be that expensive either. Let me take that back for just a second. This can be as an expensive project as you like if you want to use very high-end materials and you want a lot of custom work, maybe hiring a custom carpenter, for example, to do a lot of really nice finish work. However, it doesn't have to be that way. You really can buy less expensive materials and get your tiny house built to what suits you and your budget. Now, a tiny house can be constructed, at least in part, indoors. So you could actually put together your bug out location out in your garage, or maybe rent a storage unit and put together some of the different parts of the tiny house. In fact, if you have the room and if you have a doorway big enough, wide enough, and tall enough, you can actually build your entire tiny house inside something large like a large outbuilding or a barn and have it ready to go. Some of the companies that specialize in tiny houses also offer for sale trailers that are just the right size for hauling your tiny house anywhere you might like to go. A tiny house could be put just about anywhere. Now, obviously, if you're going to leave it somewhere long term, you're going to want a slab, a concrete slab, and you will probably want to have some kind of electricity in the tiny house if possible. Maybe even just some rudimentary indoor plumbing, so you're not reliant on an outdoor water pump or water well or some kind of a porta potty facility, which it's okay. But if you're going to be thinking of something like this, living in it for months or longer, you'll probably want a few more creature comforts indoors. Now, a tiny house doesn't require a whole lot of land. And so if you have your tiny house constructed or very nearly so, you might be able to put it on some land belonging to a friend. Or if there's someone who owns a lot of property and just doesn't mind that you're there, you can even help watch over their property, their livestock, their home for them. But a tiny house might be the solution to your bug out location dilemma. It does come with a number of drawbacks. And in fact, this last summer, my family and I, we stayed in a 500 square foot tiny house for a week. And there were definite ups and downs. And, interestingly, what we discovered is after just the first few hours, we spent almost the entire week outside of the tiny house. We went inside to cook. We went inside to sleep. Sometimes we would, if the weather got windy or a little chilly, we'd be indoors. But for the most part, we just took advantage of the little porch out front and enjoyed the whole entire thing, the outdoors as well as the small house when we needed it. Now, I have written a lot more about tiny houses because in my research, I came up with a number of other advantages as well as a long list of disadvantages. I don't want to say that this is the solution for everybody. But you know what? If you have nowhere else to go other than maybe a tent, pitching a tent somewhere in the wild, and that's, the best you can come up with, it might be worth your while just to take a look at the whole tiny house option. Now, you can read my entire article at thesurvivalmom.com/tiny house. And I hope it will be helpful to you. This is Lisa Bedford, the Survival Mom, and I will catch you the next time around.